Hey, folks, welcome back to another Timonspodcast. I'm your host, Timon, and this is my podcast. Really cool conversations with very interesting people, and today is no exception. And man, do I have a conversation for you guys. But first, let's get to some business. You may have noticed I missed last week's episode, posting an episode. So consistency is very important for me, and I totally did not have a podcast ready to rock and roll last week. So don't worry, going forward, we'll have a lot of podcasts coming. I've got cool conversations lined up with a lot of individuals. And again, like I said, today is no exception. Today I was able to sit down with Cliff Logan. He is a woodworker, an electrician, a magician, right? He's got stories and conversations and all these fun things to talk through. And I really enjoyed picking his brain and sitting in his shop and just seeing just the life and the joy that it brings him to build something from scratch, from hand, and the knowledge. I mean, you just keep asking him questions. He's got knowledge here, knowledge there, info on this and that, and it doesn't matter what it is. He's probably solved that problem, and so that's a really fun thing to do. He makes a mean cup of tea, very enjoyable, and he'd reached out to me, and we met through a mutual friend, or he'd heard about me through a mutual friend, and so. I was like, I need to let's meet this Cliff guy, and I walk by his building all the time. I've been walking by his building for years, wondering what's in there. So to go in and actually get a tour, that's the fun part of podcasting, man. That's the fun part of reaching out and making friends and building relationships and learning about new cool individuals in your town. So Cliff Logan is no exception. Like I said, he's very interesting and does a lot of cool things. So. You're going to enjoy this conversation. Let me really quickly talk about today's sponsor. That is Quiet River Massage and Revival based in Syracuse, Indiana. And she, the owner, the one and only Jasmine, absolutely dominates your stress and also your soreness, your sore muscles, all those things. So she can come through. Well, you have to go to her. You go to her, Quiet River Massage and Revival, like I said, in Syracuse, and she will give you the best experience and make those aches and pains go away. She is also a magician when it comes to figuring out what the problem is and releasing. It's crazy. You may have something in your shoulder, right? And she goes and does something in your hip, and then the next thing you know, your shoulder is released. And so she does 90-minute, 60-minute, 30-minute massages, hot rocks, essential oils. She's got you covered. Go follow her, Quiet River Massage on Instagram. Links are in the show notes below. So click on, read more about whatever my show is, and then you'll see, boom, her information there. You can also click on the link and book a massage through my website. If you do go, tell her Timon sent you. Also, if you do get a massage and you really enjoy it, leave a 5-star review or any review. She told me it doesn't matter, but I say 5-star for sure. Leave a review, and that helps her get more information, more knowledge, more people looking, attracts more attention to her website. So, all right. Well, without further ado, Cliff Logan. The main goal of this podcast was to create memories. That's kind of the main thing. And I like talking to people. I think that's a big part of the podcast as well, is just having conversation. People ask, do you want to monetize it? Do you want to turn it into something? And that would be sweet if that happens. But in reality, I just enjoy communicating with people, having a conversation, learning about people, listening to people, and creating memories and friends. That's kind of how this podcast started. And then, yeah.
So how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it since 2018. So
that's 6 years.
6 years. Yeah,
so you're an expert.
I've learned some things. Just a few things. It's you learn it from doing something over and over and over again, and then it becomes second nature. And then when someone asks you something, it's like, oh, I have this information stored. This is how it's. And then like, whoa, how do you? But it's just you do things over and over and over again, and you start growing from it.
It's the same thing in any trade.
Yeah. And I really enjoy talking to people. That's one of my, I think, giftings, if you could say that. And I went into sales because I figured that out. And then this is kind of an extension of that, is talking to people. And it helps you talk. Who's having conversations anymore? Not very many people. And so
nobody.
This is a great way to do it.
I think that's part of our part of the problem in our society. It seems like the more we become connected electronically, and it started with the pagers
Mm-hmm.
and the answering machines. The more we become connected electronically, the less we become connected physically
Yep.
and have a conversation one-on-one, and you look at somebody
Mm-hmm.
and you get that feedback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
Because
so
body
many-
language is huge.
Right. And we're both picking, like, as you're giving me signals with your body, I'm then responding without
Exactly.
even talking. I'm
Right. You're
picking-
nodding your head, or you're
Mhm.
blinking your eyes, or you're like, yeah, I know that person. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you can transfer so much more information just in a glance. I mean, you can see that in a couple that's been married for
Yeah.
25, 30 years.
Yeah.
They just kind of look at each other and grunt or whatever.
Yeah.
And she knows or he knows,
Exactly what's
okay,
going on.
this, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, you can see that. It's cool.
And I think that's what has happened to our children, because they have no sense of community.
Mhm.
And they are our pressure release valve of the society.
Mm-hmm.
So when there's problems there, that's the first
You
to
see
let
it.
off the pressure. And so we have these episodes where, you know, bad things happen,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody goes, well, why?
They don't have a community.
They don't have a community. You know, and I miss those days of, I was raised in a small town of 1,400 people. I was a newspaper boy, and our house burned down when I was young,
Hmm.
and we lived above a grocery store while they were, you know,
Rebuilding.
rebuilding and all that kind of stuff. And my mother would say, I need a pack of cigarettes. Okay, I go downstairs. Old man Swiniger was the grocer downstairs.
Yeah.
And I can still, you know, I go down and put a quarter on the counter. Mom needs a pack of cigarettes. And he would give them to me. And I'm, what am I, 11,
Yeah.
12,
Yeah.
something like that. Here you go. Nowadays, that would never happen. Never happen.
No.
But everybody in the town knew everybody.
Right.
They knew, you know, he knew I wasn't, this was for my mother,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And one time I went down and Mom needs a pack of cigarettes. She smoked Camels. And he sets them on the counter and he says, tell your mother they're 35 cents now. I went from a quarter to 35 cents. So I go upstairs and says, old man Swiniger says, cigarettes are now 35 cents a pack. Oh, gee.
Yeah, it just goes off.
Goes off on this damn cigarettes. You know, I'm gonna quit these son of a.
Yeah.
20 years later, she was still sucking on them.
Yeah. They're expensive now. 25 cents for a pack is crazy. Like, I know now they're like $7. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous, or like $50 a carton, or something ridiculous.
It's
Like,
just crazy.
wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. And here it's cheap because
Yeah.
Indiana produces, you know, a lot of the tobacco.
Right.
You go to any of the coasts, it's
Yeah.
double, triple. You know, it's nuts. But yeah, oh, that's cool. Well, you said something about the trades. I mean, people are kind of losing that piece of the thing. You know,
Well, see, that's another thing that happened is in schools they eliminated shop.
Mhm.
So you don't have a chance as a 14, 15-year-old to pick up a handsaw and cut a board.
Right.
You don't have the chance to make some kind of doily or whatever,
Right.
paper towel holder, but
An ashtray.
yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
something that you make with your own hands, and you take it home, and yeah, it could be cruel, but you made it, and you get that sense of accomplishment
Mm-hmm.
that I made this with my hands, and it builds self-confidence in yourself as a person.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I found it, you know, some people, I have had people say, well, you're a magician, because, you know, they got a problem. I go in and
tinker with it.
10 minutes later, it's working or it's fixed, whatever. And they go, "You're a magician." I'm like, "No, I'm not a magician. It's just, this is how it works, and that broke."
Yeah. You problem solved it.
Yeah.
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 Troubleshooted it. And
Yeah.
figured
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Did you always, were you always working with wood, or did that come later in life for you?
as I think back on it, my father, of course, the house, like I said, the house burned down, and so my father was always working on the house, and I was always around him, trying to help as a 11, 12-year-old,
Yeah.
getting yelled at or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I was around it, and I watched, and you got to pick up scraps, and I can remember I wanted to make a rubber gun, and so he gives me a draw knife and a 2x4 and says, here you go.
Go for it.
So our children miss so much today. Their opportunity to turn on their own imagination is taken away from them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They're not bored anymore.
they're not bored.
Always entertained. Yeah.
Always entertained. Yeah.
They
They don't have to think for themselves.
Yeah.
A group of us used to get together and just either play baseball or fight or throw snowballs at each other or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Scrabble among ourselves. But there was a hierarchy. And it doesn't matter in a group of kids, there's always a
Yeah. A leader and a
followers,
a planner and a visionary.
and one that causes trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's you met my daughter, and so we're really trying to keep electronics out of our world right now, and
you're not going to be able to.
yeah.
It's too addictive.
Yeah.
It's even addictive for me.
Yeah.
Well,
It's easy to look at, and
it's like, it's very addictive. I'm glad that they didn't come along when I was younger,
yeah.
because, being older, I kind of understand, it's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
When I got my first, when the first cell phones first come out, I'm like, I don't need that, And then more and more people got them. Well, then I had some health issues, and my wife bought me a. She's amazing, because I said, if you give me a cell phone, I'm going to ruin it. And true.
Yeah.
Because I'm always,
You're working, doing stuff. It's
climbing in the steel,
Yeah.
in somebody's attic, the
Yeah.
basement, under a car,
yeah.
whatever it takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she goes out and buys me a friggin' military-grade cell phone.
She's like, try to break it. Yeah.
And she gives that to me. She'll carry that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Just in case something does happen, right? It was more of like,
Right.
Yeah, and that's the piece of a tool.
Right,
You
right,
can
right,
easily access.
But it's one of those things that's like,
Yeah. 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 Cell phones were coming out when I was in high school. Like, that's when I first got my cell phone. So I still had that childhood of playing and, like you said, the hierarchy. So it's almost like I'm in the in between, and I want that. Also, I want my daughter to be able to go do things like that too, to play, to have creativity, and not put something in front of her to watch. And so that's one of the things. We can't keep it away from her.
No.
But we can do stuff so that she has at least some opportunity.
Give her the awareness that there's, this is a tool, and yes, you can use it for entertainment, but, not 24/7.
Right. And I think there's we had talked probably before the podcast, there are people who are stepping away from the technology world and wanting to go back to real. And there's a real push for that in my generation, the generation underneath me. There's individuals who are literally, young 20-year-olds who are saying, we don't want phones at all, period.
And a lot happened to change people's outlook with COVID.
Yeah.
That was one of the good things about COVID. Because people realized, well, there's another world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to work all the time.
Right. I can be creative.
I can be creative. I can do this or I can do that. And that's, yes, I have machinery here, but a lot of my tools are hand tools, and I do a lot of my work is hand tools. And it's very gratifying to cut down a tree
Mm-hmm.
and make something.
So cool.
You know, I cut down the walnut tree. I built a cradle for both my children.
Hmm.
And I literally, I can't believe how long I spent. All the spindles, I
Oh, wow.
turned all the spindles and all that kind of stuff, and put that cradle together. And every one of my granddaughters
Oh, wow.
slept in that cradle.
Oh, wow.
And I cut down the tree. So
That's a connection you can't buy that connection from Walmart.
No.
You know, or Amazon. IKEA, yeah.
Or IKEA or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I mean, they all have their uses and their places, but my favorite thing to do is, like, if you come to me and said, I need a desk. My grandfather planted a tree,
Mm-hmm.
and it's come down. Can we make a desk out of this?
Wow.
Yes.
That's the cool thing.
I'm there.
Yeah.
Because I want to build something that your children will fight over.
Right.
That's my goal.
That's a legacy. So I got a question for you on that then. If the tree falls, what are you cutting it at? Is it 8 foot, or are you cutting it like? Are you looking at the tree and then?
Depends on the tree.
Depends on the tree.
Depends on the tree and what you want out of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, like, if you need 12-foot boards, then you cut the log at 12 foot.
Yeah.
Or actually, you cut it at 12.6.
Yeah.
Give you some end because you're going to have checking on the ends.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So even before they cut, you're usually looking at the tree and then walking through the process.
The tree will talk to you.
Really? Yeah.
It'll show you what's in there. I tell people that, and they look at you like, okay.
Well, you showed me some of the stuff that you've done, and you're like, this, while I was hiking, talk to me. And I picked it up, and it, yeah, I totally.
But you can look at a tree, and you can see the bark on the outside of it. And if you look at the bark, and the bark does this twisty motion, have you seen on some trees? The grain inside of that tree
It's doing the same.
does exactly the same.
Wow.
So you can look at it and say, well, that's not a good sawboard.
Yeah.
Because it's going to go like this.
Yeah. So you start thinking through all the pieces. It's talking to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And and a lot of times I'll find something and I'll work on it and I'll say, well, you're going to be this, and it fights you every step of the way. It's like, what is going on? Yeah. And I throw it aside, and maybe a month later you walk by it and go, oh, it wants to be that. And it literally falls into your hand.
Wow.
It's so amazing.
You just got to wait for it to tell you what it wants to be. Wow.
What it wants to be. And it sounds, you tell people that, and they look at you like, okay, you've been out in the
Sunday. Yeah. What are you smoking? Right? It's not cigarettes anymore, is it? No. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. No, I believe it though. I believe it. That doesn't. I'm into that. That makes total sense to me.
So you learn all that kind of stuff, and so it gives you. It's like tools in your toolbox. The more experience you have, same as you're doing your podcast. The more experience you have, the more tools you have in your toolbox. So when you have a problem, you open up your tool. Oh, I had this, but this is what.
Yeah.
Just bang like that, and somebody looks at you and go, how'd you figure that out?
Yeah, I'm a magician. Now, I think you are a magician. Maybe not, in woodworking for sure, but electricity. I think that all of electricity is magic. To me, at least. That's.
Well, whenever anybody asks me what I do, I tell them I'm an electrician.
Yeah.
I'm electrician number one.
Yeah.
I would do that seriously for $5 an hour.
Wow. Yeah.
I love it so much. When I was 14, I think it was 14, maybe 15, I told my mother, when I grow up, I'm going to be an electrician.
Mm.
And I knew at that early age what I wanted to do, and that's all I focused on.
Wow. Wow. Was it from helping your dad rebuild the house? Was it some of that, or would you?
I don't think it was that.
What piqued
it was
the interest?
The fact you could take a drop cord, plug it into a socket, have the 2 leads, put a switch on it, have a light, and turn it on and off and watch the light work.
Yeah.
And go,
How's that?
wow,
Yeah. Magic.
wow.
Yeah.
And I was raised back in the day. A small town, we had an open dump.
Okay.
You know, they
Yeah.
used to just have a big hole. and
Everyone throws stuff in.
Everybody throws stuff in there. To me, that was
Yeah. Free treasure. Yeah.
go in there and find an old radio or
Yeah.
something, drag a record player, whatever.
Yeah.
Drag it home and take it all apart and look at it.
Oh,
Sometimes you get it working.
Wow.
That was like,
Oh my
holy
God.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
No idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. Just tinkering with
Absolutely.
it.
Just tinkering with it. Take it apart, looking at it, thinking about it. Just, yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
that's...
That's that creativity. You're bored and you go to the dump and you find something and you just start.
Now they cover all up with dirt, and nobody's, you can't even go over like the scrapyard over there. The scrapyard.
Yeah,
over there,
Omnisaurus, whatever.
to me, is a gold mine.
Really, yeah.
I can walk around there and just
Pick things up. But they won't let you do that, will they?
no,
Oh, that's unfortunate.
because of insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The lawyers have,
The bureaucrat, the higher, yeah. That's unfortunate. So you started doing electricity then, when you were younger, and
Yeah.
that was your primary, that's the primary thing you did for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also did woodworking
Okay.
as a hobby.
Oh, okay.
Like this workbench I built when I was 21 or 22.
Oh, wow. So you've been all for pretty much your whole life woodworking
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I would sometimes step away from it,
Yeah. Go through
if
seasons.
something would happen or whatever, but I go back into it.
Wow. Yeah.
I could never get away from it.
Kept on seeing things that spoke to you, right? You're like,
Well, yeah.
yeah. That's awesome.
Somebody say, well, can you make this? Oh, yeah, I can make that.
Yeah. Well, and you showed me some of the stuff you did in this building alone, like the electricity and the bathroom, and even working on the elevator. And those are all, again, huge problems that you've been able to just kind of solve. I'm sure it wasn't as easy as just to happen, but I bet there's tinkering with it and figuring it out and putting it together. And
Yeah. Well, there's a need there, and I have the skill.
yeah.
I went to Rolando, and I says, we need to do this. And he goes, you can do that? Yeah, I can do that.
There you go. So how long have you been in Goshen?
It's pretty close to 12 years.
Okay.
So, actually, I think it's a little bit past, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think we moved down here earlier in the year. I retired in February, and I think we were down here like in April or May.
Wow.
Now, my workshop wasn't.
Yeah.
My workshop was a huge problem.
But that was where you were originally?
Yeah, up in Lansing.
Okay.
My workshop was up there. It wasn't this,
Yeah.
but it was. I had a space in an industrial building.
Oh, okay.
It was, I think, 30 by 30, maybe 40 by 40. I'm not sure size it was, but I worked out of there. And then when we moved, finding a place for my workshop was a huge problem.
Yeah.
We looked all over all different buildings in Goshen and whatnot. And this building, when we got down here because of my wife's, my in-laws, they were in Greencroft.
Yeah.
And so we moved down to be close to them because they needed more
Yeah.
and more looking after.
Assistance yeah.
And
It's a long drive. If you keep doing that drive, it's
yeah, it's 2.5 hours,
yeah.
160 miles or whatever it is.
Yeah. You know it pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But finding a place for my workshop was a real headache. So we looked all over, and when we first started coming down, this building was for sale. And I stopped, actually a couple of times, and walked this building. And I told my wife, I said, that building has got good bones. He says, but it needs help. It was right another year, this building probably wouldn't have been saved.
Really?
Yeah, because of the water leaks on the roof and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the water does more damage than anything else.
Really?
And I walked around the building. I called the realtor, and the realtor, you don't want that building. It's a blah, 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 you know, this and that. And I really like to look inside of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we keep driving by and see the for sale sign. And then one day we drive by and we see, well, somebody's in here. So we're looking around. We're with the city, and the city's got some open buildings and, you know, looking for a place to rent.
Yeah.
And I wanted to rent somewhere. I didn't want to be a landlord. And a lot of the realtors said, well, buy a farmhouse with a pole barn, turn that into your shop, rent the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want people calling me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. The toilet won't flush.
Right.
I don't need that.
Or them peeking in on you while you're working and asking,
Well,
like, you could, but still, yeah.
You know.
It comes with strings.
Yeah, it comes with strings. And so, and literally, my wife goes, we need to stop at that building. I see people in there. I'm like, oh, okay. We'll give it a shot. You know, what the hell? So I stopped, walk into Rollo's office, just walked in off the street. Hi, how you doing? I'm looking for a place for my workshop. He said, I don't have anything. Oh, man. He says, the upstairs is empty, but it's, you know. I'm like, can I look at it? It's like, well, sure. All the windows were boarded up.
Yeah.
You could stand in that corner of the building with a bow and arrow and shoot and hit that corner of the building over there.
Completely open.
It was completely open.
Wow.
None of this was here.
Wow.
You could see. And so I'm standing here and I'm looking at it. And there's raccoons have been up here, and the pigeons, and I mean, cobwebs. I mean, there was, you know,
it's been abandoned. Yeah.
There's only a couple of lights that worked, you know.
Oh, wow.
And all the windows were boarded up, so you had to have a flashlight. And all this and that.
Wow.
Yeah. And I turned to Rollo and I says, you have to rent me this spot.
Wow.
And he goes,
this is cold off of the street, hadn't met you before, and you're like, you gotta rent this.
And I told him, I said, I will be your best tenant you've ever had.
Wow.
and he looks at me, and Rollo's a really good judge of character anyway, you know. And he's talking to me a little bit. And he says, okay. So we had to work out some stuff. He had to build a set of stairs over there, put a door in, blah, blah, blah. We had to figure out with the city and get the permit, you know, and just figure out what we had to do. And then he said, okay. And so he rented this out. So nothing was here.
Wow.
I cleaned it all. The first thing I did, my wife and I, is we took all the boards off all the windows.
Yep. Opened it up.
Rollo walks up here and goes, oh.
Because you can see it then.
You could see.
Oh, yeah.
And the light for the workshop is huge.
Yeah.
The wooden floors, the character of it. I mean, it's an amazing place.
The
brick, everything.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, this building has memories and history.
Yeah.
People have lived here, worked here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
spent time
Yeah.
life here. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, I love this building. This
Wow.
building is, you know.
It's cool. I live close, so every time
Yeah.
I've always wondered what was here. So it's so cool that when we connected.
But Rollo tells a story. He said, he walked in my office and said, you got to rent me a spot.
And that's how it started. And he's probably so happy because it's the best tenant he's ever had, I'm sure. The amount of stuff you've done and fixed and things, he's very thankful for.
We get along pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You put the two of us together, if we got a problem, you know, put the two of us together and we kind of zip ideas back and forth. And I go, oh, why don't we do this? And he'll look at me, well, that's a good idea. Or I'll look at him and say, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Off we go.
And just go for it.
And I don't know how many times people have said to us, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Hold our beer and watch us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why? That's funny. Cool. Well, yeah, I was going to say the other thing about this space, I mean, now that it's full, is there's memories everywhere. You know, and you've put your memories into this spot and put the time in and things, you know. And like, you know, Mary, who came up when we were talking, she said it's a time hole here. You come in, and then the next thing you know, it's a couple hours later, you're like, what? How? What happened? So, why don't you tell people kind of what you do now? I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but what's your like day to day, or what's your life look like in this? And I know it's not, you can't give a boilerplate answer, right? It's not a templated, but.
Well, the nice thing about retirement, you know, everybody looks forward to retirement. And I can remember old farts telling me, you know, I'm busier now than I was when I was working.
Yeah.
And I always thought, you know, I'm old bastard.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They're right.
Yeah.
I stay busy, and it's good. Keeps my, you know, like I tell people, you know, I work, you know, they're like, well, you go to the shop. Well, what do you do there? Well, I do this, I do that, you know. What do you do that for? I said, well, it keeps me off the street and away from loose and immoral women.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Sitting in the bar drinking away, right? Or,
Yeah, you could do that too.
yeah.
So, well, lately with my medical issues, things have changed a little bit. And what I used to be able to do, I no longer do, so I'm dealing with that.
Yeah.
And there was I forget the guy's name. There was a poet laureate in one of his poems. I think he wrote it for his, I don't know who he wrote it for, but there's a line in there that says that old age is a celebration of losses. Damn, he's right.
Yeah.
Seems like you kind of, as you age and things happen, you kind of give up this and you give up that, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. I don't need to be climbing up in attics anymore, and you know, I mean those.
Yeah, well, I miss that though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I miss that. I miss what I really, really miss about my electrical work is the really good problems. The really, everybody, you know, 2 or 3 people walk around and look at it and go, oh, that's a strange problem. Those are the ones I like. Anything that's off kilter, that, you know, that's a little bit weird, that I'm there.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like a big problem-solving issue. Like, is that what makes your brain start turning and thinking and going?
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm not bragging on myself, but when I worked at General Motors, I worked afternoons. I enjoyed afternoons. And I would go in. There had been a machine that's been down for 3 or 4 hours, maybe even longer. There's 2 or 3 electricians working on it. And I call them Easter egg hunts. Well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I show up, and they tell me what it was doing, whatever. And sometimes I got to put it back together, and that may take half an hour, 45 minutes to put it back to where
it was originally.
It was originally.
Right. Because then they've been Easter egging. And
they've been over here, and the problem's over here.
Wow.
And then like 15, 20 minutes, I got it running. And they're like, how did you do that? How did you figure that out?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, you have to think about it. It's just logic. It's just, you know, step by step logic. Oh, yeah, it's complicated. You got 10 robots and they're all working at the same time. You know, there's a lot going on. It's like a chessboard. You have to look at everything and say, okay,
This piece is moving this way and this way.
usually the most complex problems, the simple,
Really?
little things,
Really?
just little things.
Would you say all of electricity is very logical?
Yeah, it has to be.
It's just built on this
It
order
has, it has to be.
yeah.
It's an order. It has to make a circle. To complete the circuit, it has to make a circle. So if you have your hot wire going to your device, don't forget about the neutral.
Yeah.
You have to have the neutral. A lot of people say, well, I have power there, but they don't have the neutral.
Which completes the circle.
It completes the circle.
So then it's just flowing one way and stops.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Okay. That's very interesting.
It's just, and you don't get excited about it. You think about it.
Yeah.
I tell my apprentices, just give it 5 minutes. Think about it. I remember this one machine. It was one of the doors. I was in swing metal, hoods, deck lids, which is a trunk, the doors, and one of the door machines were down. Yeah, I think that one had 7 or 8 robots in it, something like that. It's kind of complicated. It wasn't too bad, but there's a lot going on. There's you take the inner and outer part of the door, you weld it together, and then different pieces get put together, and then it spits a door out the other end of it. So I'm standing there. It's down. I'm looking at it. I'm just looking at it. Ken Burleson, he was a good boss. He's standing there with me. I'm looking, and the head chief comes over. And he goes, we're out of doors on the line. And that's the worst thing you could do, shut the line down.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah. Into the world if you do that.
in the world if you do that. And so he said, we need doors. And he says, yeah, we're working on it. He says, well, what are you doing? And Kenny turns to him. He says, he's thinking about it. And I stood there another 2 minutes, walked in. Took me like another 3 minutes to fix the problem. Walk out again.
Wow.
But you just take that time to think about it before you make a move.
Don't rush it. Yeah.
Don't rush it.
Because then, like you said, it takes 30 hours to re-put everything back together, and then you fix the problem. That's really annoying because you're creating more problems for yourself.
Right.
Do you think that translated to a lot of just your life as well? It's just like the working with electricity, you kind of see the world in a different way than most people, or
Nah, I don't think so.
no?
People are complicated.
You can't just sit.
Electricity, you can figure out. People,
no.
Electricity, it'll go this way, it'll go this way, it'll go this way, it'll go this way.
Yeah.
People, it'll go around, this way. Oh, maybe over there, and then down here, and then back over here.
Yeah.
There's no logic to it.
There's no logic.
Because we work on emotions.
Yeah, that's very true.
And most people don't use logic; they use emotions.
Yeah. It's not good.
Anytime you hear two people arguing about something, most of the time it's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not logic. They're not having a logical argument.
Yeah, it's how they feel about certain things.
How they feel about certain things.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So people are much more complicated than electricity.
Yeah. Do you think it's translated into woodworking? Is there logic in woodworking, or is that a little bit more free flow?
I think what I really, really enjoy about woodworking is, like I said, to take a tree and turn it in. I mean, there's something to be said for planting your own garden,
Mm-hmm.
make a wooden bowl,
Mm.
make a wooden spoon, sit at a table that you've built, on a chair that you've made,
Mm.
and eat vegetable stew from your garden.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. That's the circle. You've completed the loop.
Exactly.
Right. I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, like a lot of people, that guy, his name is Dick. What's his last name? He went to Alaska and built a cabin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Everybody it's a great. I mean, this guy would have been a killer podcaster.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Is it the guy who died in the There's some famous movie where he like goes and he almost.
No,
No,
he
that's
died of old age.
Okay.
But he just decided to go to Alaska and build this cabin.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a lot of people doing that type of stuff now.
Right.
They're recording themselves and people eat it up.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Right.
it's a.
So what is there about that?
Yeah.
What,
I think.
you know what
this
I
is
mean?
my personal.
What is the draw for
Yeah,
that?
there's a lot of time and work that goes into it, and people enjoy watching the completion of it without having to do the work. That's what I think. It's really like this person spent 20 hours just doing one small thing,
Right.
and then puts it in place, and you're like, whoa, that's so cool. But the 20 hours of doing it probably wasn't as enjoyable as watching that 3 seconds of. And then the next piece, and you watch this 12-day process that get half of it. I think there's something to that where people really enjoy seeing the thing completed and knowing the work that does it, but knowing that they don't have to do the work. It maybe gives them a little something. That's just a theory of mine that I'm throwing out there right now, but yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah. Or there's something to like knowing that
But
you
I
can
don't
do
think
that.
some people realize exactly how much freaking work it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're working all the time.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
If you're out in the woods,
Yeah.
in a cabin,
Yeah.
you're working all the time.
Yeah. And it's
There's
survival.
always something to do.
Yeah. And it's if you don't do it, like you could be in some big trouble. And then when winter comes,
Right.
like you kind of have to be all
if you
set.
if you don't cut enough firewood,
Right. Yeah. You could be
or if
cold.
you don't put away enough meat
Mm-hmm.
or provisions,
You're done for.
and you got 6 foot of snow,
Yeah. You can't get out of your cabin.
and that I think that's another thing that's happened though too is we have no more saber-toothed tigers in the gene pool.
Right.
People have gotten stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Complacent. We don't have anything to fear. And comfortable. We're very comfortable.
Right.
Like everything is convenient. Like I can have anything at my fingertips within 2 days typically.
Right.
I get, even sooner if I really want to.
Right.
But I'll take that back to COVID. I remember during COVID walking in the grocery store and not being able to get bacon. So that was the first time in my life where even if you had, there was times you would walk into the grocery store and I could buy bacon. Maybe the cheap bacon was out, but the more expensive was there. So if I had enough money, I could buy bacon. But in COVID, with the supply chain, you'd walk in, there was nothing on the shelves. And you're like, oh, maybe I need to go to Alaska and make sure I have enough meat preserved. But I think it was a little bit of an awakening for some individuals.
A lot has changed. I think a lot has changed since COVID. People, like I said, they have a different way of looking at the world.
Mhm.
So
I think there's positives and negatives. I think a lot of people only see the negatives. That's
it's like my my niece from Texas. We brought her. Since we moved down here, one of the great things that's happened is my wife. The first year I was here, I was up working in my workshop, trying to make product for the art fairs,
mm-hmm.
and she went to see one of the concerts. I think she went to see John Denver, one of his last concerts. He was over here at the fairground, and she goes, "You got to go to the fair."
It's a big deal.
And I'm like, "I've been to the fair. I don't need to go to the fair."
Yeah.
Of course, if you're a smart man, you always listen to your wife.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's good
Behind
advice.
every successful man, there's a wife.
Yeah.
Seriously. They sacrifice a lot more than what people give them credit for.
Yeah.
Anyway, she says, "You got to go to the fair." Yeah. So next year, yeah, okay, we'll go to the fair. Tuesdays is Old Farts Day, you
Yeah.
get it for, okay, I'll go to the fair.
Old Farts Day. I think that's what they call it, Old Farts Day at the fair. Yeah. No, keep going.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And I think they call it Senior Day or whatever.
Yeah. It's a
But,
little more politically correct.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So I'm like, I'm walking around and I'm totally in awe.
Yeah.
Not so much by what's there, There's some really cool stuff there.
Yeah.
But the people in general.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So I called my daughter up. I says, next year, you're going to bring the girls down. I had 2 granddaughters. And they were fairly young. They were, let's see, how old? Let's see. Lillian's 16 now. Ideline's 15. So I'm going to go 11 years. So they were like 5 and 6.
Okay. Yeah.
And I call up my daughter. I says, you got to bring the girls down. We're going to go to the fair.
She's probably like, we've been to fairs. It's not, yeah.
So they bring him down. We go to the fair. And, of course, you know, they look at all the animals. And we ride the rides. You know, we do the whole fair thing.
Yeah.
And they spend the whole week. And we happen to have a pool
Nice.
in our community. So they get to swim in the pool. And they call it Grandpa's pool. And I said, it's not Grandpa's pool. And my daughter was funny. Dad, don't try to explain it. It's your pool. Okay. And they have been coming every year.
Oh, that's awesome.
And now Lillian's driving.
Oh, wow.
So she's 16. And Addie, she's got her learner's permit. She's driving with another driver. And then last year, my great-grandson, my son's daughter, brought my great-grandson down.
Oh, wow.
And so we took him to the fair.
Oh, wow. This you get the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And it was funny. His name's Stuart. And I put him on my shoulder, and he just, like, laid his head down and died. You know how they just die. You know?
Just limp. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm holding on to him, and I'm carrying him, and we're walking. And Chloe goes, you want me to take him? No, I got him. My arm is just killing me.
Yeah.
Like, I am not letting go of this kid.
Yeah, you can't.
You know, I'm
That's
going to
awesome.
enjoy this moment.
Yeah. You can't beat that. It's very sweet. Yeah. Those are the sweet moments of. Did they come to the workshop or have your grandchildren come?
Oh, yeah. They've been here.
Yeah.
They're not as, it's kind of cool. Their father does woodworking.
Okay.
Their father's been here. He's come down with one of his employees, and they spent a couple of days. And I went over planes and chisels and sharpen.
Oh, okay. Is that something you've done? You sharpen all your own tools?
Well, it's not your tool unless you can sharpen.
Because then it's done.
If you can't sharpen a chisel, it doesn't belong to you.
Interesting.
And that is probably the most important thing in woodworking, is learning how to sharpen your tools. And take the time to sharpen them. Sharpen them properly. Make them sharp. Because your work is so much easier. If you're having trouble with something, you're doing something wrong, or the tool, Of course, a lot of people use power tools like a table saw or whatever instead of a handsaw. With a handsaw, you get instant feedback. When you hit a knot or a hard spot in the wood, it transmits right up through the handle, and you intuitively that's a hard spot. It gives you instant feedback. Same as the plane. When you use a plane, you can hear it, and it's so hard to explain.
Yeah.
You have to almost experience it, because you go,
Yeah.
My niece, they come from Minnesota. That Mary was here. She's just talking about them, and they come down for a week. And so what I did is, okay, here's a plane. I give them a plane. You take it all apart. We clean it. We sharpen it. We tune it. This is how it works. And we may spend, depending on the plane, 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
Working on that plane. But when you're all done, when you pick it up off the bench,
You know it.
it cuts. It's like,
Just butter. Yeah.
yeah.
I've worked with some really dull planes before, so I know it's like, oh, this stinks.
And see, and what happens if you get a dull tool, it doesn't want to work because it's not sharp, and so it puts force against you. So you got to increase your force, and that's not
Yeah.
woodworking is not force. It's finesse and just skill. I mean, like a saw, how to start a saw, how to listen to it, and to know the difference between a sharp saw and a dull saw, the difference between a sharp chisel and a dull chisel.
Yeah.
You know,
It just comes with experience and learning it and knowing it.
Yeah.
Pull one up. Oh, wow. You're just cutting paper right with a chisel. It's like a sharp knife. Very sharp knife. Oh, my word. Yeah.
You can shave. I could shave your beard with that.
Really? Yeah, I'm sure you could.
I'm not
You give me a
trying.
bald
I'm
fade.
not trying,
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that's
Wow.
the edge you want.
Yeah. And then when you get into wood, it just probably,
Yeah.
and that's what you sharpen it with, huh?
Let's sharpen it with that. Let's see if we can find something here.
He's looking for some wood here. You take it off. You're welcome to. My
Hold
water.
on just a second. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Don't talk so much. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, perfect. Now he's got a piece of wood. Click it over there.
This is your third hand.
Like, this is your third hand, so you can say it.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine. That's
This is your third. My vice.
Yeah.
It's my third hand. It's my helper.
Yeah, it probably changes the game. Yeah, if you didn't have it, you probably wouldn't be able to
You always need some way. Of holding
something else
holding your work.
because you use both hands to
work.
right. Oh wow.
This is actually kind of dull.
It just cuts right through it. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's actually kind of dull.
Yeah, sharpen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to sharpen.
But when you're working with wood and you're getting in there, you need both hands and you need the feel. So
Well, it's for the control.
yeah.
You know, if I only want to take, say, 1/8 of an inch.
You want to be able to control both. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to take a thicker one.
Wow. Oh yeah. And you have so many different types of chisels, and they're all different tools needed. Now you showed me a toolbox that you made with Mr. Yoder, and you said in that box you have everything you need to build a table, to build all the stuff.
You
right?
could. What's in that box? You could build a table very easily.
Yeah. And how many chisels are in that box? Would you say
That box? I don't know, 10.
Yeah.
But you don't need that many.
You need a couple, right? Or
Probably a quarter, a half, 3/4, maybe 3.
okay. And those are just like the like
The width.
yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
that's a 1/2 inch.
Okay. How long? How
this
wide?
is
it
1 inch.
Yeah, that's sharp. That's 1 inch. Okay, so then you use it. Yeah.
This is a 1/4 inch.
Wow. And the smaller, the finer details, I'm sure, to like get in there and.
Or like if you want to make a mortise, say like if you putting a lock,
Hmm.
and you want to recess it, then you use this
To cut. Oh yeah, because it's gonna be much harder to get something big in there and do that.
Yeah.
So what other tools are in there? I mean, you got a saw, or a couple saws.
There's 4 or 5 planes.
Okay. And those are all different levels, or
Planes are based on size.
okay.
The most
Really large versus a lot smaller. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, here's the number 5.
Okay.
This is probably the most
Used.
used plane.
Yeah. Okay.
They call this the jack plane because it's a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
It can handle, you can do long stuff with it,
Okay.
or you can do
Real
shorter
short.
stuff
Hmm.
with it. So they call this the jack plane. And anytime anybody says a jack plane, it's a number 5.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. Then you got, I'm sure, some hammers, right? I'm assuming. Gonna need that.
Hammers, saw, square, marking,
Yep.
instruments. And then, like when my niece was here, you don't really need a tape measure.
Hmm.
And I showed them how to build that without a tape measure.
Really? How do you build it without a tape measure? 'Cause this is where the magic comes in. Experience.
No, really. I mean, you just say, okay, I want a box this big.
Okay.
And then once you make the box, okay, now I know what size the shelf is.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you build, the first thing you build, see the bottoms and the sides are dovetailed together.
Okay.
So you build that first. And it doesn't matter if it's 36 inches.
Or 48 or yeah.
Well, 48's a little long because your arms, you got to be able to pick it up.
Yeah.
And the bigger it is, the more shit you'll put in it, and the heavier it gets.
Yeah.
The harder it is to move.
Yeah.
It's like, nature. Nature hates a vacuum.
Yeah.
So you'll find some other tool to throw in there and add weight to it.
Right.
So you want to keep it manageable or to fit in the trunk of a car.
Right. That makes sense.
Okay.
So you want it
so
to be a
usually
little.
36 inches is good size. So you just, if I go like this,
Mm-hmm.
from this tip of my finger to this tip of my finger, is 6 foot 2 inches.
Wow. Yeah.
Because that's how tall I am.
Yeah. So it's the width.
From this, so I
Okay.
can literally go right here and go to there. Say that's 36 inches.
Wow. So then you just
Okay?
wood piece that. Oh, interesting.
So take the bottom piece and cut it. Oh, about that. Lay it down. So now how tall we want it? Oh, whatever.
Right. And if you dovetail it, right, then you can kind of plane it off to where it all fits, or cut, like sand it off so that everything fits
Yeah. it's
really
like-
well.
It's like this.
Right. Right.
And it's
So as you.
this joint has been found in Egyptian tombs.
Oh wow.
This joint will last and last.
Wow.
The glue will fail in 100 years.
But the joint will stay.
The joint will stay because it's locked together. It can't pull apart.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah. How do you get that? Do you hammer it in to get it connected?
You mean
Yeah. How does it? Oh wow. And that comes from just knowing how to do this, right? And
I taught my niece how to do this,
yeah.
and right now she's sending me because I told her. I said she was like enamored with the dovetail, and I said they're really simple. They really are.
Yeah.
Make one every day for 30 days.
Hmm.
We go back to that practice again
Mm-hmm.
and the experience.
And you'll have it.
So you make one every day for 30 days. You do a dovetail joint, and then pretty soon you won't need to measure anything.
It just goes. You
You
just
just
do it.
cut it.
Wow. And that's done by hand too. You're not.
This is done by hand. What you do is you cut this one first,
Okay.
and it doesn't matter. You can make this one this wide. You make this one narrower.
Mm-hmm.
You can make this one this angle or that angle.
Okay.
Usually 1 to 6, anywhere from 1 to 6 to 1 to 8.
Okay.
There's a big argument. You go,
You can get lost in that argument. Yeah.
dovetails. If you type in dovetails on the internet,
You go.
this is the best way to do it. This is the fastest way to do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. Whatever works for you.
Yeah. Wow.
Whatever you can make a good joint
Hmm.
okay, that fits. So you make this one first.
Okay. Yeah. Would you say that's the bottom one or the?
This is the pins.
The
This is called
pins.
The pins. This
Okay.
is called the tails.
Okay.
Okay. So you cut the pins first. And I could put 4 in there, or I could put 3, or I could put 2,
Yeah.
or 1.
It's up to you.
It's up to me.
Yeah. The more, I'm sure there's probably a balance
Well,
of what's.
you got glue surface.
Okay.
So the more surface you have, the stronger the joint is.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay? So now you take your other piece of wood, you take this, and you lay it like this, and now you mark it.
Oh.
And you cut this piece to fit this piece.
Oh. And then just
And that's the only one you have to pay attention to. This, it doesn't matter.
right.
If you're off 1 degree, it doesn't matter.
Right. This is the piece that.
This is the only one that matters.
Wow.
And then you put it together.
That's so simple. But it's
simple.
complicated too.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, kind of in a way, but not really.
And then you good. Wow.
And then,
Do you do that dovetail for almost everything you make? Is that your?
well, I try to. It depends on my time. How
Yeah.
much time I have. See?
Mm-hmm. You just do all of them. Wow. And you got a box.
You got a box.
Yeah.
Same as that.
Yeah.
And basically, that's what a lot of woodworkers do, just build boxes.
Yeah.
It's a drawer, it's a box.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Everything is boxes. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. Do you use screws at all? Probably not. Every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like inside of that toolbox, the furniture, they call it the furniture, that's where all the chisels hang and
Yeah.
where the planes are. and
Can't
stuff like
dovetail that. Probably not.
Well, what you want to do is you just want to screw those to the side.
Right.
And no glue.
Right.
Because say I get a new set of chisels
Yeah.
and everything changes. Okay, I want to be able to take out my furniture easily,
Right.
change
Re-add.
it,
Yeah.
so that way, same as, oh, I don't like the couch over there. I want
Right.
the couch over there.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. So that makes sense. So you'll use it, but when you're building the framework and stuff, is it primarily dovetails?
That's dovetailed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the shelf in the middle has a dado. That's a great hand tool. That was built all with hand tools.
Mm. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, really,
Yeah. Yeah. No power tools at all.
you don't need them.
Wow. Yeah. What happens when electricity leaves? Right. You need to know. Do you have a lot of people coming to you asking to learn some stuff? I know, like Johan. We talked. Maybe he kind of helped out. Do you have a lot of people coming to you to kind of like?
Johan has spent some time here. Joe has spent the most time here. Joe's son, Andy, he was actually the first one. That's kind of a funny story too. And there was a guy from Valparaiso. Those two were funny. It was great. I was telling my niece about him. Fireman from Valparaiso.
Hmm.
And he come over here to Jim, and Jim was selling a bunch of treadle sewing machine bases,
Okay.
and the guy was using them for tables.
Hmm.
He was making, like live edge tables and stuff like that. And then he wanted those for the base. And Jim goes, well, if you're a woodworker, you have to meet Cliff.
Wow.
So he brings him over here. Of course, once he's over here for like 3 hours.
Yeah. Time warp. Yeah.
And I told him, he says, well, how do you do that? He says, just show up.
Yeah.
And he goes, really? I said, yeah, just walk through the door. And he's like, can I bring my friend? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they both brought a plane. I said, bring in number 5. I says, and so the one guy, the plane he had, I was like, and that's going to be a lot of work. So let's try something else. So I dig around. I don't know how many. I found him a plane. Here's a plane. Tear it apart, clean it up, whatnot. So we get it, and then I teach them how to sharpen it and put it together, how to tune it, how to adjust it, how to make it do what you want it to do. And they both of them, first time they used their plane, they just kind of stopped and looked at me and went, we have been trying for a month, looking at YouTube videos, how to make a shaving.
Wow.
And he says, it's not the same.
Wow.
You have to put your hands on it
Yeah.
and get that feedback.
Yeah.
They were just like, wow.
It changed it.
Changed it.
Yeah.
And he's been back several times.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's wild.
It used to be these number 5s. A Stanley number 5 I could buy at a state sale or whatever for $10.
Yeah.
Sometimes 7,
Yeah.
And I would buy, if I found a nice one or whatever, I would
Buy here, buy there.
buy there, buy here. Now, after the hand tool explosion, this plane right here probably would sell for, $8,500.
Wow. Just because that many people want them now, they're probably not being made. And
Well, Lee Nelson are making them, but they're pricey.
mm-hmm.
And Lee Nelson does a really good job of making planes. They're wonderful planes, but they're a little pricey. But like if you would take this plane and bring it to me and tear it all apart, clean it, hone it, retune it, then if something happens, I know how to fix that.
Right.
Do what?
It's that experience of what's the tuning process? Is that just setting it in the right
Well,
spot?
like the bass, if you look at the bass on this,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of the older ones, or some that have sat around for a long time. Let's see what I can find.
Okay.
I don't know how long it'll record it.
You got some.
There.
Yeah. Okay.
This one hasn't been touched. This is a number 3.
Okay.
It's number 3. And see the size. So
Yeah,
when I go by
way
the size,
different.
See the different size?
Yeah.
So what happens is the longer the plane is, it goes over the board, the longer it is, the flatter it'll follow the high spots and knock off the high spots. The low spots it won't touch.
Right. Right.
Now this one
We'll hit the low spots a
will
little.
hit the low spots.
That makes sense.
And so it'll belly on you. So this is a finished plane.
Once you've done this, right? Kind of like grit of sandpaper too. You want to do coarser and then get finer.
And you can tune this blade to cut. You can change the angle on it. So if you got some hard grain or something that's a little gnarly, you can tune this for that wood. So,
Wow.
and that's what I try to do, because the more you can do with the tool,
Yeah.
the more powerful it is to. And I got to get my hair back on.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. Wow, that's really fascinating. Wow. Yeah, I'm getting you out of breath. Making you move and grab everything.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is really
You know
fascinating.
why I'm up and no water? I'm going to get my water.
Oh, go for it.
Who wants to-
Oh, I'm good. We could probably, if you want.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Yeah, go for it.
I just.
While you're here.
talk a lot and I'm huffing. Did you notice I'm
Mm-hmm.
huffing? So it dries out my throat. So I have to keep it.
Yeah. Keep breathing and keep moving and yeah, keep sipping. That tea was really good. Really enjoyed that tea.
Make you another one if you like.
It's
Okay.
I'll be wired if I. It's not as much caffeine I know than coffee, but
No. It still has caffeine.
yeah.
Actually, I've heard people say that you get a bigger kick out of a tea than you do
Coffee.
coffee. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, so
Yeah.
I can't answer that. And then you got, see,
It's a much smaller plane. What number is this?
this now you go to I think this is a 206. I'm not sure. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
And this is a Lee Nelson.
Okay. Oh wow. Yeah. So those are the pricier ones that they're still making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this one has a special function. If you notice, the blade comes out all the way to the edge on both sides.
Oh, okay.
And you look at this one.
Those are they're sitting inside of it. So what's the difference?
So, like if I have
Me this piece.
like a joint right here, and I want to get right in that corner,
Oh.
I can get in there. This one here, if I use this one here, I'm going to have that much.
Right. It'll be missing like an eighth of an inch or something. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Well, I know since you've been here in Goshen for 12 years, I mean, we were talking about the Amish. There's kind of a stigma maybe or handmade. Do you work with a lot of the woodworkers around here, or have you connected with them at all? Are they doing things on kind of
there's a great resource for wood. Forget the name of it. They're right over here.
Okay.
But that's a
Miller's?
great resource. It's not Miller's.
No.
But they do, like they'll plane wood and they'll process it for it. Stuff
Yeah.
like that. That's a great asset.
That's nice. Yeah.
So like if you cut down a tree
Take it to
and
them.
you don't take it to them. You take it to the sawmill,
Okay.
cut it into boards,
Yeah.
and then you stack it,
Gotcha.
strip it, so the air can flow through it,
Okay.
allow it to dry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Rule of thumb is 1 inch per year.
Gotcha.
Okay. And some people go, "Oh, that's a long time." Well, believe me, it goes like that.
Yeah.
So
So you strip it into one and then you let it sit for a year. Is that what you're saying?
it sit
And
for
if you have 2-inch boards, then you let it sit for 2 years.
Couple years.
Wow. Okay. You need a space for that.
yeah,
A barn somewhere.
well, not a barn. All you got to do is set it out,
Okay. Yeah.
cover it with sheet metal,
Yeah.
so the air can go through it,
Yeah.
but keeps the water off of it.
Yeah. Because that's going to destroy it. The
Yeah.
water will.
Right. And just let it dry. And then you take that wood. That's when you take it over to them.
And then they.
And they plane it to whatever side. But you can take that. I have a planer,
Mm-hmm.
and I can process that wood myself. But for me, if I got 100 board foot,
Right.
now me and Joe, we stood up here and we planed all that wood for his bench.
Right.
But that was kind of different because
Yeah.
we needed this size and we needed that size, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he would stand on one side, I'd stand on the other side, and we'd run boards through there until we got what we wanted.
Right. Right.
And so that was helpful.
And
But
it's-
like if I had a truck full of wood I needed
Yeah.
to do that with,
Take it
I
to
would take
them.
it over there and let them process it.
Wow. So that is nice that that's here. There's that
Yeah.
many people doing that.
And there's wood available.
right.
This is a woodworkers. Now, this isn't probably going to piss a lot of people off.
Do it.
But in this area, there's so many woodworkers, it's really hard to make a living. You really have to find a niche.
To do. Yeah.
So
Just because there's so many people.
there's so many
Doing
people doing it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's like my artwork, when I do my artwork, like the Falcon.
Right.
The Falcon's nice, but you have to go Chicago, New York,
Right.
Louisville,
Bigger markets to
you know.
even be able to sell it.
Here in the Midwest, the standard, I've heard it, they'll look at the Falcon and they'll go, well, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
In the Midwest, we're taught if it doesn't have a purpose, you don't need it.
Right. Right. And then you go out to the East-West Coast. They're like, this is going to be great on this piece of furniture, or I'd love to put it on my desk, or right.
They buy it for the art.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. And which makes sense. I mean, if you have people who are kind of showing each other off based on their art, if you have some really cool art, they're like, well, how'd you get that?
Yeah.
Woodworker in the Midwest got it.
Yeah.
That's.
And that's a thing too. If you're like a specialized woodworker, there's a lot of them out there that make one-of-kind pieces and stuff like that, have special orders, They may only make 4 or 5 pieces a year.
Right.
But they're getting $30,000, $50,000 a piece.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Right.
And so
It's worth it.
but if it's one-of-a-kind piece.
Yeah. Nothing else is being made this way.
Nothing else is being made.
And like you said, generational. Like you built something that is now passed down generation after generation after generation, and it's like that's different than something you can buy and throw away and not really have an attachment for, a connection to. So, yeah. When did you start doing art shows?
I started doing art shows. I got sucked into art shows. Yeah. I started making spoons, and I was trying to think of something. We always were going to be snowbirds.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew we were going to go to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I knew we would probably be in a motorhome or a fifth wheel, something like that. So space was,
Yeah, you don't have a ton.
So you can make a spoon with tools you can carry in a gym bag very easily. And even put your sweatshirt in there, probably.
Yeah.
No, really.
Yeah.
So I thought, and I'd watched or I'd read, this is before YouTube, read several articles on spoon making. And one day I come home from work, I had one of those days at work, and I went out to my firewood pile, and I picked up a piece of walnut, took it down in the basement, and made a ladle out of it.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. So I started making a few more, and I end up with a grocery sack full. Of course, and then Barbara goes, "What are you going to do with a bag full of spoons?" I don't know. It's like everything else.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, and meanwhile, this was in a magazine article. There's a guy in upstate New York, Barry Gordon. He's still alive. He's a great guy, great artist. Has spent his whole life making spoons.
Wow.
His whole life.
Yeah.
And he lives in upstate New York. And so I get a hold of him, and I talked to him a little bit. And I said, well, I want you to, teach me. He says, okay. So I take some wood, and I take my spoons that I made, had them in a grocery sack, wrapped up in old T-shirts, and went to him, upstate New York, went down, and he's looking at my spoons, and he's going, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I just come here to learn." And he goes, "Well, this is, okay." So we make a couple spoons. I don't know, what do we make? 3 or 4, something like that. And I see his process. He does. Blah, blah. Okay. And that's what I do. I'm constantly looking and plucking ideas, thoughts, processes. Somebody's doing something, I watch. Oh, that's a cool trick. I'm going to do that. And then somebody else over here will do something. So then you combine them.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you got, oh, okay.
This is my own unique thing.
This is kind of
put my
cool.
flavor here and learn this.
Yeah, And what Barry did for me is he took my finish from here to here.
Wow.
The spoons, the making the spoons, stuff like that was fine. But the finish, literally, I was down here.
Yeah.
Like maybe in the 2nd grade. And he put me in high school.
Wow.
With the finish.
Wow.
And that was well worth the trip. Just learning the finish. And then he uses a router to route out the bowl. And I used the die grinder. The reason I used a die grinder is because I had air. And another thing I liked about the die grinder is I could hold it in my hand. Barry used the vise to hold the spoon, so I used both hands on the router to do the bowl. And well, that's fine. That works for him. It's great.
It's part of his process.
Yeah.
But for you,
For me, I put it in my hand, and I'm like this. I don't have to unclamp it.
Yeah.
I can, if it's this direction, all I got to do is go like this,
Right.
like this.
Right.
It's done. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm working. I'm making chips.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it's more, you get the feel of it. You're a lot more closer to the
Right,
whole
right,
product
right.
and stuff.
Now, some people look at it and go, don't you worry about hurting yourself? Yeah, I'm conscious of that.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of that, and try to stay away from
Yeah.
any harm. But that's
I was gonna say most woodworkers are like, you know, or a couple. They go quick. I'm sure there's something to trying to get things out, and moving. That's
that is the number one people herder.
Yeah.
Is getting in a hurry.
Quick.
You get tired. You're not thinking.
Yeah.
You just want to get this done.
Just push it out.
All I have to do is like one more 30 seconds and I'll be done.
Yeah.
And then they're in the emergency room.
With the finger gun. Yeah, my wife has a saying that she wrote on the wall. It's slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You know, there's something to that.
Right.
You know, slow.
That's with everything, really.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. From sending emails to doing woodwork to everything. You know,
Yeah.
take your time and
Yeah.
make sure it's smooth, and then it'll
But
start.
we always, we seem to get caught up in this rush.
Right.
Got to get the production. How many cars did we make today?
Right.
How many toasters did we make today?
Numbers, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like they'll come out and say, we lost a car today. What do you mean you lost a car today?
Yeah.
Well, we were supposed to make 231. We only made 230.
Yeah.
So you didn't lose a car.
Yeah.
You just didn't make one.
Yeah. 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 Kept a worker or two. You know what I mean? Like, what's the sacrifice for that one car or whatever? You know, there's.
Yeah,
There's-
and it could, and I use a car because I spend a lot of time
Right,
with General
right.
Motors. But it could be TVs, it could
RVs. It could be.
It could be
anything. Yeah.
anything with a number on it that they're production wise.
Yeah.
The first question they always ask, what was the production
Yeah.
today? How many numbers did we make today?
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. You're flipping that upside down too when you do woodworking. It's not about what you're producing. It's about how you're producing it. You know, and connecting to it.
I like making pieces that have a story. I want to make a piece, like I said, that your grandchildren will fight over
Mm-hmm.
and argue who gets it.
Yeah.
I don't want to cause drama in the family, but I'm
Right,
just
but
saying
yeah, that's
I
the
want that type of memories that people will say, no, I remember when.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you Andy's story.
Okay.
So I move in here. Andy was downstairs. Andy's a great guy. He's the son of Joe.
Okay.
Okay. So I come back one year from Arizona, and he goes, "Hey, I want to take some pallets and make a table. I need a table for the house." And I'm like, "Oh, what are you going to do all that work for? Why don't you make a real table?"
Mm.
And he's like, "Well, you know, I don't have the wood and blah, 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 this and that. And I just need a table. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to build a table, build a table.
Right.
So, and he goes, "Well, the wood and all this." I said, "I got wood. Don't worry about the wood. The
Mhm.
wood's..." So, and what happened with the wood was my son built a log cabin.
Oh.
Okay. So he had a bunch of logs left over. And he told me, he says, "Well, Dad, I'm going to cut that up for firewood." "No, you're not cutting that up for
Yeah.
firewood." So I call a sawmill. A guy comes over, and we set the sawmill up, and we cut them into boards.
Oh, wow.
And I said, what do you want? You know, you want some of this? There was like, I don't know, 10, 12 logs there.
Wow. It's a lot of boards.
A lot of boards, yeah.
Yeah.
There was more boards than my truck could haul at one time.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm not letting him burn it. I'm like, "No, you're not burning it."
Yeah.
And it was good stuff like this.
Yeah. Quality stuff. Yeah.
And so I have this lumber, and the only thing it cost me was the sod.
Hmm.
It's dried
Hmm.
because they built this. Well, kind of, sort of dry. I mean, not.
Maybe the middle wasn't, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking maybe 20% moisture or something like that.
yeah.
Maybe 23. And so I have this lumber, and Andy's talking about he wants to build a table, and I said, I got the lumber. We'll build a table. Well, I says, you show up every morning at 4 o'clock, and we'll build this table.
Wow.
And he had to go to work at 7. So I would get out.
He's in Valpo?
Huh?
Was he
No,
living this is when he's living
he
here?
lived here in Goshen.
Okay.
Actually, he lived on 8th Street.
No way. Okay.
Yeah, down just past the school,
Yeah.
about 2 blocks.
Yeah.
And so we get the wood, and we start building this table, and we designed this table. What do you want it to look like? Blah blah blah, all this and that. And then I told him, I says, well, you need to paint it with milk paint. That toolbox has milk paint on it.
Okay. Milk paint.
Milk paint.
Okay.
It's bulletproof.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Is it paint and milk combined, or what?
yeah, it's milk paint.
Okay. I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. You take pigments and you mix it with milk,
Okay.
and that's what they used to do. Now they use powdered milk. You put water with it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I said, well, milk. And he's like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
So he's talking to his wife. His wife is from Costa Rica.
Okay.
She goes, that's a good idea.
And every man's a good one, right? Yeah.
And then he wanted benches like this.
Yeah.
So we bet. And this is milk paint.
As well. Wow. Yeah, that definitely stands up.
The longer you sit on this, the more you move on it, the more you wear on it, the more of a character it takes on to itself. It has a memory, and it shows it.
That's awesome.
So we design this table. We build this table. He shows up at 4 o'clock. I show up, and we do this. I don't know, quite a while, really. Do a little bit here, a little bit there, and we build this table, and he wanted benches so people could sit at
Yeah.
the benches. And it doesn't take up so much room as chairs.
Right.
And
You push it under the table.
then you push it under the table when you don't need it, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So we do all that, and we use milk paint. And what you do is you put any color. You can take any color you want, and you put a couple layers on it. So, like, I think on the bottom is green.
Yeah, and on
Top
top's
is red.
Yeah.
And I think this is just what I had left over. But, like, if you put the red on the bottom, the green on the top, and then when this wears, the red comes through.
Ah.
So it takes on a kind of a...
Deeper, and you can see the green was on the bottom of this one. It
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and so as the red wears, you start to see the green. Wow.
So it takes on... as it ages, it even has more character.
Wow.
As people kick
Use it and
and,
nick it,
nick
and
it.
that actually
And some
adds to it instead of detracts from it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's fun.
Takes more of a character.
Yeah.
So we get this table all done, and we take it to his house. I forget how old Misha was. He was still in the high chair,
Okay.
but he was almost ready to come out of the high chair.
Yeah. Well, 1 or 2, 3.
A little, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. But we brought that table in, put it together, and I made it so it comes apart.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
you can move it.
Yeah.
We made a trestle style.
Okay.
So it completely comes apart, folds up like this,
Oh, that's really nice.
and you can put it on a moving truck or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's super nice.
So we put the table together, we set it up, put the benches down. His son sits on one of the corners of the benches at the corner of the table and said, this is my spot. The high chair was over with,
Oh, wow.
just like that.
And that's so cool. Oh, that's awesome.
And that's where he sits.
Yeah.
That's his spot.
Probably to this day too. Yeah.
And then, like I told him, I said, now this table is going to take on dents,
Mm-hmm.
scratches. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just let it. And Andy tells me that, when the kids play on the table with their toys, they make little dents
Yeah.
with like a horse,
Yeah,
the plastic
yeah.
horses and that,
Yeah.
bounce them around. He likes the dinosaurs,
Yeah. Yeah.
the dinosaurs. But those marks are in the table.
That's-
And they'll be there when he's sitting there doing his homework
yeah.
in high school.
Yeah. When he brings his girlfriend over.
And when he brings his girlfriend over to meet
That's
his
so
parents for
cool.
the first time,
Yeah.
they'll sit at the table. That's what I mean. That table will have a history.
Yeah.
And him and his sister are probably going to argue over who gets that table.
Right.
Unless one of the parents says, you get it.
Right. Puts it in the will. Wow. That's cool. Well, I know my phone is probably going to die here soon. Not die, but I only have 2 hours recording on my phone.
Okay.
We've done an hour and a half.
Okay.
It's a time suck, which is so good. Time warp. Where can people? I like to do at the end of my podcast. Cliff, thank you so much for coming on and chatting. Do it
You
again.
can come back if you want.
Yeah, we have a lot more to talk about.
We've just barely.
We just nicked the top of that. We're not even in the third or fourth layer of paint. We're only on the front. Where can people find you or get a hold of you? I like to give kind of a if you want to promote anything, do anything, this is your time to do that. And if you want to remain anonymous and let no one know about you, that's fine too.
That's fine. But I would say, come to the building.
Yeah,
Ask anybody, where's Cliff?
yeah,
And they'll show you.
that's awesome.
People come in all the time.
Yeah, we've had just wander right in.
Yeah.
I love it. You want me to put the address? I'll put it in the notes so if someone looks on that, they can look it up
Yeah, we can do that. It's 605, I think, East Lincoln,
okay,
whatever it is.
perfect. Yeah,
At Closet Crafts. I'm
Yeah.
on the second floor.
yeah, Closet Crafts. There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
people can find you.
And I'm here as much as I possibly can.
Mhm.
Lately, with all the doctors and stuff like that, I've not had the time that I normally have. But, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If you catch them, you catch them. If you don't,
You catch me.
come
you
back
catch me.
again. Well, Cliff, man, thank you so much for letting me sit down and chat with you. This has been great.
You can come back anytime
Yeah.
you want, man. Really,
For
seriously.
sure. Yeah, I know my wife wants to come make a spoon. We talked about that a couple times. So,
And she's more than welcome.
yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know how many people I've taught to make spoons.
Yeah, I'm thinking about buying a plane now, and I'm gonna have to have you show me how to tune it. That's the.
I probably should give you a 10-minute dissertation
Yeah.
on what to buy and not to buy.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Wait, let me close this up, and then while we're
You're fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next podcast. Bye.
Bye.